Another day, another small MPV has been launched, and we've seen loads from Toyota, Mitsubishi, Nissan, and Honda. But this time around, there's a new challenger on the block, and it is not from the Japanese heavyweights. It is in fact from Hyundai with a Stargazer, and it aims to yank away sales from the Avanza, Expander, Livina, and even the upcoming BRV. But enough chit-chat, let's take a closer look at Hyundai's latest baby. It's not a sports car. Now we'll start things off a little bit differently this time by looking under the skin, or specifically under the hood. Now, powering the Stargazer is a 1.5-liter engine, just like most of its competition. But that's where the similarities end, because this one has 113 horsepower and 144 Newton meters of torque. That puts it ahead of the Avanza, Expander, and Livina. As for transmissions, you really don't have much of a choice. Now, Hyundai isn't going to bother with a manual transmission anymore for the Stargazer. This is your only transmission option, an IVT, or Intelligent Variable Transmission, which is basically Hyundai speak for CVT. And since we're inside already, might as well take a look around here. Now, if there are two words that can best describe the cabin of the Stargazer, it would be futuristic minimalism, because just look at the layout of the dash. They are pretty serious about the whole star theme. If you saw the interior of the Staria, you'd get what we're talking about. And whoever designed this interior most likely has a family, because there are shelves and pockets just about everywhere. I mean, just look at this shelf right at the dash top. And that's not enough, there's even a shelf down here, and it even has dividers. And last but not least is this secret, well, not really secret anymore because I told you where it is, compartment where you can store some small valuables. And for the whole futuristic theme, you have this whole pod that houses the digital instrument cluster, which is for the GLS and GLS Plus models, plus the 8-inch infotainment screen. Now, again, this is the GLS Plus model, so you also get wireless charging, but not to fret, because the mid-spec and the top-of-the-line models get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to go along with it. Other noteworthy features here at the front, well, you have voice control, which is connected via Bluetooth. You also have your multi-information screen. You have cruise control, plus you have lane keeping assist, which is something interesting in this segment of car. If you're curious, your drive mode buttons are here, and if for some reason you need to turn off the stability control, it's just beside the gear lever. Here at the back of the Stargazer, there are more traveler-friendly features. For example, you have not one, not two, but 3 bottle holders in the rear door pockets. Not only that, you have a huge cup holder that could probably accommodate those standard size tumblers. Other convenience features here at the back of the Stargazer, well, of course, you have your armrest, which is practically vital these days, and another pocket down here, plus a pair of USB ports, so people don't have to argue over one port. And if you get hungry on the road, there is a tiny little tray back here, so you could put your food here, but just make sure your driver is a very smooth one, unless you want food flying all over the place. Now, what about third row accommodations? Now, room will depend on the person sitting here. In this case, this second row is slid all the way back. And if anyone taller is gonna plan to sit here, they can always slide this forward. Space, cubby spaces, you have a pair of cup holders on each side and another box also on each side. And in case you're curious, yes, these seats fold flat down to give you maximum cargo room. Alright, so a couple of driving impressions to go along with this video. Now, right now we are in South Forbes, Miami Village, so I can't give you a super extensive drive review yet. However, what I can give you are a couple of impressions. So what is the Stargazer like? Well, one of the first things I noticed was it's got pretty soft seats, and the seats are pretty thickly padded, at least for its segment. Now that's something of a rarity in this class, but it's also appreciated. Of course, time will tell if it'll be comfortable for a longer road trip, and we'll be able to give you a better answer if we have it for a couple of days. Another thing would be the light steering, which is typical in this class. It's not really supposed to have super sharp and dynamic steering. I mean, it's not a sports car. Come on, just look at it. Its shape is literally shaped to be an MPV. So I wouldn't expect like super thrilling driving dynamics, but you know, it's easy to drive, it's agreeable, it's, you know, easy to steer, and you're not gonna get tired driving this around. I do have to commend the air conditioning because it is searing hot right now. I know that some of the photos here are gonna appear as wet and rainy because, well, weather's been kind of wild. Performance from the 1.5 liter engine, at least in a town setting, it's decent, it's adequate. I do have to note that the IVT, or intelligent variable transmission, it doesn't drone on like a typical CVT, so props to them for that. One thing I do like about the Stargazer, at least so far, would be the ride. Now, Hyundais typically have a good ride. It's pleasing to know that the Stargazer still retains that quality that the brand worked so hard to earn. Now, all in all, driving impressions, it is very agreeable. It's relaxing, it's decent, it's not sporty at all, but really wouldn't mind at all. Of course, if Hyundai wants to stand out in the very competitive MPV segment, they have to price the Stargazer right. But of course, we're saving the last bit as the best bit. So we're talking about the design, of course. And in this segment, if you want to stand out, you got to do something dramatic and drastic. And that's exactly what Hyundai did for the Stargazer. And it's practically a baby Staria when you look at this long LED strip that runs the entire front end. And of course, you have the bumper mounted headlights. But that's not all. There are more Hyundai influences when you look over at the side. So you got those slashes on the fender that cut through the door and kind of connects to the rear. And you have these other streaks down below, kind of like the Tucson. But another interesting thing about this is got to be the rear end. There is practically no rear end that looks like it in its class. You definitely can't call it derivative or any of that. And you just look at the taillight treatment, the LED strip going across it. In some ways, it kind of reminds us of Deadpool's mask. And if you paint it red, well, it is practically Deadpool from the back. So that's our runaround of the Hyundai Stargazer. So what do you guys think? Do you think it has what it takes to take on the Japanese competition? Well, our take is it has a lot of potential.